And I'd like to thank the people with strength that just spoke and the Perez family. These are people with strength, because I tell you, it's not easy to stand up against what you perceive as all the odds are against you. But let me tell y'all something. We've become accustomed to accepting this type of treatment. We've become accustomed to accepting murder by people who are supposed to protect and serve us. We're getting better. We're getting stronger. We're going to continue. Right now I want to talk about the cops and racism today, because it's gone berserk. The cruelty, the utter brutality just makes no sense. It's actually, well, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. And we're going to bring some real, rational logic to all of this. Now look, I'm going to start off telling y'all, back in the 70s, they started this thing called SWAT teams. I think you've all seen, heard about this stuff. And when they started these SWAT teams off, they began, according to Balco, the author of The Rise of the Warrior Cop, with about 300 incursions against the American people per year. Now, why did they have these SWAT teams? Well, they started this phony thing called the war against drugs. So what are you gonna shoot the drugs? No, they shoot the people. And it wound up that this war against drugs not only was ineffective, we all know that the drugs are still here after more than 30 years of this nonsense. Right. But what we do have, see, is an attack, a consistent, an overwhelming attack against the black community. Now, racist indifference towards the persecution of black people paved the way for these kill-crazy police activities. Understand what I just said. That's very important. When you see people being attacked, step back and think about it. Don't go along. Get the facts. Just today, they had a special about this poor woman who drove into Washington, and she was in Washington, D.C., and they tried to put a barrier behind her after she had made a wrong turn, was in the wrong area. She made a U-turn, and then she panicked, is what she did. She panicked, and she tried to drive away. Well, without any discussion, they started following her. They shot this woman 27 times. Was she armed? No. What crime did she commit? Maybe driving a little fast because she was scared to death. But what was it all about? It was about the 1%'s fear of us. They are afraid to death of us, and for good reason. Look around you, look at your life, look at the unemployment, look at all the things that we suffer from. These 1%, they living pretty good with their golden cappuccino makers and all other such nonsense, okay? Now, here we have a situation where we have gone from 300 SWAT incursions into the community to now 30,000 SWAT attacks on the American people per year. 30,000. The department, dig this, the Department of Education has its own SWAT team. What in the hell does the Department of Education need a SWAT team for? Think about this. This is madness. Well, you try to understand, where is this stuff coming from? Well, to a large extent, they're helped by the idiot box, or I call it the head fixing industry. You turn on that idiot box and they got the odd squad, the mod squad, American, this kind of crime, that kind of crime, and they fill your head with a bunch of nonsense. That's all it is, a bunch of nonsense.
We got cops.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all these police programs, Now, in fact, 1 in 4 of the houses that are broken into is the wrong address. That's a common feature of these SWAT attacks. They continue. We find out that not only do they deliver warrants. I just met with the sheriff of Alameda County, and I asked him, I said, look, do you use the SWAT teams here in Alameda County to serve warrants? So, you know, Nat, he was embarrassed. He stumbled a little bit. They said, well, we do a check on the person we're serving the warrant to, and if they have a gun. Well, hell, everybody got a goddamn gun. You better. So if you got a gun, it's okay to kick your door in instead of just knock on the door and give you the warrant. This is madness. And why? I'll tell you why. The 1%, as I told you, is scared to death for their very existence. But they use terror in order to rule us. Kill one, terrorize millions. They put that stuff on the TV. That's in the back of your mind all the time. Let me tell you, that's why it takes strength to step up and say no more and to fight back. Now, we also are faced with all these reform scams. Recently, we've had the Black Lives Matter movement. We've had demonstrations when Michael Brown was killed, and then following that, we had the Eric Gardner situation where the grand juries came back without indictments. There were demonstrations in Oakland for 2 weeks every night. I had my old ass out there marching with them kids, you know, in the rain, you know. I went to 8 of the marches myself. Every night, the youngsters were out there, every night. So now, the 1% is utilizing their minions to feed us old, tired, useless solutions that have already been discredited. So for instance, they'll say, oh, we need to have sensitivity training for the police. That's what it is. They need sensitivity. Get the hell out of here. Ain't nothing about going to no class to tell you you shouldn't shoot somebody with their hands up. That's not a matter of sensitivity training. That's a matter of getting away with murder. That's what it is. And we're going to do the best we can to see to it that in this case, this particular officer does not get away with murder. We are optimistic that we've got a handle on this. They claim that Pedie tried to take the cop's gun. Okay. And as a response to that, the cop killed Pedie. Wait a minute. We have a tape that shows otherwise. And not only that, we have witnesses that saw this dastardly deed. We intend to take what we have and utilize it to get some justice for the Perez family. And I think we can win, but we have to hang in there. Perseverance is very important. We can't give up. We stay on it. And when I see people like the Romero family still out here, still fighting, it inspires me. Because that's what it takes. You have to keep on trying. Now, all kinds of, they've got this scam talking about this police review commission. Well, you know, police review commissions are wonderful if they're effective, if they have the power to do something. In fact, that power has been stripped from them already in California by something called the Policeman's Bill of Rights. Find out more about it. They utilize that bill that was passed by the California legislature to evade accountability. That's how they do it. That's the legal mechanism. So obviously we are for the repeal of this Policeman's Bill of Rights, as if the police need a Bill of Rights. What is that? More insanity. You know, a lot of times people start looking at cops, they say, well, you know, are cops part of the 99%? We say no. We say no. We say they are part of a repressive apparatus. That's what they are, and that's what they do. They are not workers, and as a worker, IBEW electrician, I believe they should be run out of every labor federation in this land. How in the hell are you going to have somebody in your federation, and then when you go on strike, who do you think is going to come to break your strike? Your brothers, the police? This is madness. All right? Now, lastly, there was a book recently put out called the new Jim Crow. And what Alexander, who is the author of that book, Michelle, thank you so much. Alexander states the following. She says, look, racism and the forms through which racial oppression exists change with time. So we have successfully killed Jim Crow through our civil rights struggle. But even though we killed Jim Crow so that segregation is no longer legal, that doesn't mean that there's no more racial oppression. It takes different forms. So one of the things we see, she talks about the increase of black people that are incarcerated. Over 1 million black people incarcerated in America today. All right? Another form of that racial oppression is, in fact, everywhere we look, even when it's obvious, the police get away with murder. Well, that is yet another form of that racial oppression. And we have to fight it. And we will win. Not in one stroke. This is where that perseverance comes in. You can't give up and win at the same time. Now, Yogi Berra used to say, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. Lastly, I just want people to be aware. You know people. Bring them out when you come out here. Talk to your friends, your co-workers. Eventually what will happen, we hope, and this is what we did in Oakland. When Oscar Grant, when the judge decided that they were going to charge him with manslaughter, the longshoreman came to us and said, no, that wasn't no manslaughter, that was murder. Anybody can see that. It doesn't take more degrees than a thermometer to see that Oscar Grant was murdered. Well, the longshoreman was so dissatisfied, they worked with us, and on October the 23rd, 2010, they went on strike one day for Oscar Grant. This is the direction that we have to go in. We have to hurt them. You don't love your enemy. No, we don't play that. You hurt your enemy. You make him understand that there are consequences for what they do to us. And labor, as tired as it is and as weak as it is right now, does have the power to impact this situation. Let's think about that and let's make that happen. Let's organize ourselves as working people and bring this to our organizations, our churches, our unions, and say, look, man, what can we do about this? We got to do something. We can't pretend that it's, by doing nothing it's going to change. We know that. And please don't be fooled by that Democratic Party, because they are in power. Where you going? They are in power. They are in power. They have the capacity to change this situation. So we have to think about who the hell are we voting for? That's a problem also. But right now, the struggle continues. We are going to win. We are on our way to win. We have the evidence. Now we have to try to do what we can to force the city officials to look over this evidence and indict this cop. Thank you very much.